Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Goodman Podcast. Uh, as AI technologies continue to advance at a rapid pace, the conversation around ethical AI and AI safety becomes increasingly critical. Ensuring that AI systems behave safely and align with human values is a challenge that has garnered significant attention from researchers, policy makers, and tech companies alike. This week, in a surprising move, OpenAI has disbanded its Superalignment Team. This followed the resignation of co-founders Ilya Sutskever and Jan Leike. Sutskever, who was involved in the recent ousting and reinstatement of CEO Sam Altman, left the company expressing confidence in OpenAI's current safety leadership and hinting at a new personal project. Leake, on the other hand, cited long-standing disagreements with OpenAI's priorities, criticizing the company's focus on product development over safety measures. Now, this development coincides with the launch of GPT 4.0. The Superalignment team had ambitious goals to address superintelligence alignment within 4 years, but faced significant challenges, including inadequate compute resources and feeling overshadowed by the company's product-driven agenda. With team members reassigned and OpenAI silent on future plans, the direction of AI safety at OpenAI is in question. So, Raj, what are your initial thoughts on these developments?
Well, a lot of thoughts sort of come in my mind. At least I'll say one thing for sure. Now we at least know why Sam Altman left the company for a few days, why he was asked to leave. I mean, now it's clear with all these moves happening. And honestly, I'm not surprised at all with what's happening in OpenAI. If you look at OpenAI's mission, it is to achieve AGI, artificial general intelligence. So basically, super AI abilities, which, by the way, AGI is not been defined yet properly. So we don't even know what AGI really is. But that's the mission of the company. When that's the mission of the company, the focus would be on the product, focus would be on sales. That's the one goal. It's a bit like if it's a football team which is looking to win, what will be their goal? Their goal would be to have more score or a higher number of goals. And in most companies, that would be the sales, and sales requires product. So if product is prioritized over safety, it's not unheard of before. But it's a bit scary because this is AI. It can impact all different things. So yeah, it's interesting, equally not surprising.
Yeah. What do you think were the primary factors leading to the dissolution of the Superalignment team, and how might these reflect broader challenges within the AI industry regarding safety and product development?
Well, so Elias points out on lack of being resources and product being prioritized by the team. Again, not surprising. But apart from product and the compute resources, it also requires a lot of team members. So effectively what Elias is saying is there wasn't enough people and compute power available for safety. If that happens and you are part of the team and you're an important part of the team, you're part of the board as well, you would feel a bit as if you're not being heard. Yeah, your mission is not aligned. And as OpenAI has developed, I believe the mission has changed as well. There has been a lot of talk about launching new products. Recently on the All In podcast, which is a really popular podcast in the startup world, when Sam Altman featured as a guest, he did talk about that many of the other mission products were actually also part of OpenAI's big challenge, so like big opportunity. So all the hardware stuff, the compute stuff, all that is part of what OpenAI wants to do as a company, and that requires a lot of experimentation. Money, which is there currently, has to be spent on that because there are a ton of competition right now in the market that don't stay on top. They will become irrelevant. Then there will be no discussion about safety. So there has to be a balance, but I can see why Sam Altman is doing what he's doing.
Yeah. Now, how does this kind of affect safety in general? Because I know that Elon Musk a while ago was he opened a lawsuit against OpenAI and Sam Altman about how they've kind of shifted the focus of OpenAI. Like you say, it was originally like a general artificial intelligence, but now they are focused more on the profitability side, which it kind of goes without saying, because I mean they're a corporate company. You need to drive sales and all that kind of thing. How is this all kind of affecting, like I say, the broader AI safety issues that have been brought into the public light in the last couple of years?
I would say there are two parts to this. One part, which I believe is paramount for safety, is transparency, to tell the public what's happening. Elon Musk's main concern with OpenAI is that when he put money into OpenAI, actually open to the public, the information was public. Elon Musk, as well as Mark Zuckerberg, both their companies with XAI and with Meta's Llama, these are all open source projects as well. So they talk about this thing, they release the code so people know what's going on, and it clears up vulnerabilities in the code and allows people to learn. Some people say that that's more scary. I think in many ways that actually opens up the possibility of more critiquing, as well as a general knowledge by the community as well as developers on what's going on. That community will then give us feedback on what is safe and what's not safe. So if there is a clear challenge there, it will be known to us very quickly. Now, in the case of OpenAI, it's a closed source tool, so maybe the name is a bit misleading. Secondly, what's happening is that there has to be intervention by non-OpenAI community members who are part of the development. And Sam Altman has clearly mentioned that there are a lot of people in the community who are participating in safety. So that's already been done. There is a big drive towards a third party coming in to critique and to in some ways sort of look at their initiatives and give them feedback. So that's really helpful. Again, we don't really know what's happening there. It's all not clear to us. But I think open source is a great way to do this. And hopefully at some point, Sam Altman and OpenAI team do open source their code a little bit.
Yeah. Now, given the resignation of the two kind of team leaders and reassignment of the other staff members that were dealing with this, what impact do you foresee this having on OpenAI's future direction in terms of balancing innovation with safety?
Honestly, I don't know the answer. That's a really honest answer. No one really knows what's going to happen. I think OpenAI is well placed to think about their approach, but we'll only know the answer when it's too late. Be completely honest with you, unless there is a really clear community which is constantly intervening as well as having opinion on what to do with the AI. Otherwise, it's all internal. It's a publicly traded company. You don't know what's going on. It is all internal. So it's really hard to say what's going to happen next. They might start another initiative which will be around this. They might boost the third party people who are constantly checking as well as doing a bit of an audit on their platform. Maybe there is more feedback from the community itself. So far, what I've seen to the 4.0, there's only one bit which seems a little bit Black Mirror series Netflix-like. Everything else seems very okay. I don't think there has been a major advancement in the actual algorithmic opportunities with OpenAI's ChatGPT 4.0. I was not super impressed looking at what I could do with the 4 Turbo versus 4.0. But what they're doing is they're continuously improving their tool within the same version of ChatGPT. So we never know. There might be future advancements. Some of the stuff they talked about, sort of like video, live video analysis stuff, that hasn't been released to the public, so can't say how good or bad it's going to be. It looked really impressive, but at the same time, Google launched their version of it. So I'll have to try both these things out to see which one is better. Both of them have memory. What I mean with that is that if I remember what is seen and can remind you. How do I know that? Well, in Google's case, they actually mentioned that as a USP for the tool. And in the latest launch of the Windows PC, which is the Copilot Plus PC, that's the name of the tool, or the actual laptop. Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, talked about it. So you can go back in time as the video sees your as the OpenAI ChatGPT 4 can see your screen, you can remember what's happened before. So you can go back in time, which is really interesting. All in all, that seems a bit, I mentioned before, a bit like Black Mirror episode on Netflix, but otherwise everything else, nothing major to report there, I would say.
Okay. I'm going to just kind of rephrase my original question. Maybe take a step back and focus less on OpenAI specifically and at the industry as a whole. Now, we're talking obviously about safety versus product development, and as the cliche goes, you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. So there is going to be a little bit of kind of dodgy ground that we're covering as we go into more kind of innovative tools. But how is this affecting kind of overall regulation of AI? The industry at the moment seems to be quite self-regulating, but there's no overall definition on what AI should ethically be able to do versus not do. There's a lot of gray area. There's no kind of international or even kind of country-based laws, I suppose, that regulate this. So how is this all kind of where are we in the ethical AI journey? We're like, how much attention should we really be paying to this?
Well, it's really interesting because one way you could think about safety of AI is by having more regulatory authority from the government, both local government, sort of a country's government, maybe European Union, so more sort of across different countries. A bit like GDPR, where data of the person is owned by the person. There are these laws which are governed by, nations and unions sometime across different nations. My challenge with that is that AI is currently growing super fast, and this innovation could be stifled if we start to bring in too much regulation. So if we end up getting a lot of government intervention, we might stifle the growth because, let's be honest, governments don't have that kind of a leverage at the moment. Maybe not in the knowledge the way companies who are making AI do. So Microsoft, OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, their knowledge and expertise goes to a different level, and governments don't have that kind of leverage and knowledge in AI to put in regulations. A lot of the stuff which I've seen so far as proposal for regulatory stuff seems very basic and generally misinformed. So it's very difficult to kind of get the government to come in and say, well, this is what we should be doing, because the reality is it's moving so quickly. Every year, if you're growing 100x, as per Elon Musk, in AI because of the hardware innovation, investment into software, it's really difficult to regulate it because it's a beast which is just multiplying 100x every time. Imagine if a company or anything in the world, like your diet or was growing 100x every year. you just don't know what's going on. It's hard to regulate something which you don't understand. So I think it's a challenging task, and no one really knows what's going to happen. But there should be guidelines. There is a lot of guidelines already on OpenAI's website, for example. And similarly, we'll have other companies as well doing this kind of guidelines, best practices. Also, let's be honest, they could have all launched their video creation tools, but they haven't done that because they want to make sure that the elections are not rigged, that we get less BS from government, for instance, while they are, many of the countries across the world, the world's biggest democracy, India, superpower US, and many other countries are having their elections this year. So they will slow down the progress of some of these tools which can be misused. So there is some sort of a unwritten rule happening which has been taking place and being followed by these companies. But time shall tell what's going to happen really.
Now, getting back to the article about OpenAI and the Superalignment Team, they struggle to secure sufficient computing resources for their work. How critical is access to computing power for advancing AI safety research, and what does this reveal about priorities within AI companies?
So computing resources is important. So is the number of people you put onto it. So you need to get the right mix of people and computing power. And let's make no mistake, these GPUs, which are used to train and to then infer AI content, is rare. It's a highly valuable commodity. There's not enough in the market right now, and there are a lot of players who are building their own to kind of maximize what they can do. So if there wasn't enough resources available, again, not surprising at all. Yes, it's important, but most likely what's going to happen is there will be third party will come in to do some regulatory work. Maybe people who end up leaving OpenAI or Anthropic or Meta build their own companies to do a bit of regulatory work or some sort of a comparison. I mean, already if you look at there are lots of tables which are formed which compare the power and output of the large language models, like is one by Hugging Faces, for instance, and then there's others by Stanford University. So they already have the ability to measure how good a compute power or ability of the AI itself. Then hopefully in the future, we'll also have some unwritten rules or an open source or openly available specification to which all the AI tools have to follow. So it's too early at this point in time. We are just the tip of the iceberg. In the coming years, this might become more important, and we might see some regulatory offerings by non-governmental organizations.
Okay. We've kind of, before we run out of time, I want to ask you one final question regarding the compute issue. Now, obviously, quantum computing has been a buzzword over the last while. There's been all kinds of research, and a lot of companies are trying to develop towards quantum computing. That will obviously help alleviate a lot of the issues that we're sitting with compute power for situations like this with the safety stuff. So how far away is quantum computing? I mean, is it imminent? How and what's going to happen once it actually hits the market? Or are we going to see kind of sea change once quantum computing is realized?
Okay, quantum computing is a completely different area of computer science. It is the ability to actually quantum computing is really good at one particular type of problem solving. For example, cracking passwords or encryptions. It's really good at that because it can do parallel processing at a phenomenal speed. It will solve a lot of problems around the ability of AI to solve and discover, maybe in biology, in chemistry, and in problem solving, for example. But it's not the solution for all the issues we are currently seeing. It won't solve the safety problem for sure, for example. Yeah, it could just help us with parallel processing. And by the way, as for what I understand, China is currently putting more resources into quantum computing research than the Western world. So there are cases where China might before us in the West. So I think overall it is a new paradigm shift. It open up new opportunities for the market, but I don't think it's going to solve the safety issues. Quantum computing is going to solve issues around discovery, some of the AI challenges which we currently see because of resource and GPU that can be solved, but it doesn't solve all the safety issues for sure.
Cool. Thanks, Raj. Very interesting conversation. Listeners, viewers, what do you think? Tell us what you're thinking in the comments. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll check you out in the next episode. Thanks, Raj.
Thank you, Megan.